Welcome back, everybody, to the XBA. We've got the off-season here for year number 3, guys. It's a preview video. We're not going to be digging into any sort of free agency period because we have to actually have a draft first before we get into free agency discussion. So that'll be a separate video. This is just purely a preview video about what the offseason is going to look like. So we're going to be going over player retirements, staff retirements, Hall of Fame inductees, league meetings, realignment, of course, with Honolulu now being in the mix, replacing the Dallas Barons, and the draft lottery reveal tonight. So outside of that, once we get finished with this preview, I do have some things to talk to you guys about coaching, about the future of XCAA content, about the future of this XBA series as a whole. So you guys might want to stick around after the draft lottery, of course, because there's a lot of stuff that we got to cover. So let's get right into it, guys. The player retirements and staff retirements. So let's get right into it. We've got Kyle Korver, Nene, Varejao, Zaza Pachulia, Ariza. You guys will start noticing a pattern here. Guys that are up in their 35 plus years of age, guys that are reaching 40 years old. It just made sense for me. Now, I would have decided to keep JJ Redick around. He still is like a 72, 79 overall player for the Neon. But, you know, you try to get the Neon some younger players to look at, some shooting guards. It just makes sense. Marcin Gortat, you got Marcus Saul. That's probably the biggest name that's retiring here today. But most of this list was actually listed with a bunch of XBA 2 players, namely like Antonio Blakeney that was like 24 years old. He has some guys that were 20 years old. So it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to rid those guys or to actually have them retire. I'm going to keep those guys around just in case we need to have their player DNA to be able to access that at a later date if they play well down in XBA 2. A lot of those guys that were actually originally listed were down in XBA 2. So just want to keep those guys around just in case we need to get their player DNA or actually sign them onto an XBA squad at a later date. Staff retirements. Let's take a look here. We've got Greg Popovich is actually going to be retiring from the Wisconsin Bandits. He had an illustrious career with the San Antonio Spurs, and of course, now being with the Wisconsin Bandits, they had a pretty darn good run. They improved from year number 1 to year 2. Unfortunately, they did not get it done against Kentucky to advance into the XBA Finals, but, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is, and they're still going to be a good team no matter who is going to be coaching them. Guys, more of an update on coaching searches a little bit later on in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned. We got some big news. Hall of Fame inductees. We got some news to cover, and it looks like Vince Carter is going to retire. Had an amazing career, an illustrious career. I use that phrase with Greg Popovich, but yes, an illustrious career. Good job, Vince. Congrats on your virtual retirement. Hope it goes well, man. You've got a nice new sunny beach to go land on out in Honolulu because we got new XBA representation out there, man. So go enjoy yourself. Go check out the XBA out in Honolulu. Have fun. Drink some mimosas on the beach. Have a good time. Use that money, that XBA money, not that NBA money. They didn't pay you enough. It's all about the XBA, man. Good luck. Time to take a look at the league meetings and the rule changes that are going to be happening here for year number 3. You guys will see up on the board 3 rejecteds and 2 approved. And just for full transparency, everything on the list was actually rejected. The bottom 2 I added in myself because you guys definitely wanted to see a Rising Stars game of rookies and sophomores, which makes sense now. It didn't make sense to me then, like in year 1 or year 2, because we didn't have anybody to really look at, right? It was just going to be all the NBA players. But now that it's rookies and sophomores, it could be a full-on custom prospect game, which is kind of cool. And I thought that you guys deserved to be able to have that because that's what you said that you wanted. So there you go. So Rising Stars will now be rookies versus sophomores, which will be cool because we have a ton of rookies coming in for year 2 draft class. The second one from the bottom, the second approved there, eliminate financial restrictions when trading. This was already a rule that we input from last season, from last year, from the end of year 1 heading into year 2. I wanted to put this one up here again just to make sure that this is the way that this is going to be run. Because when we get into draft day, what I don't want to happen is the inability to change that rule. And I just want to make it easier for everybody. You know, if we're trying to trade down or trade up or find trades that make sense for certain teams, I don't want to be bogged down trying to deal with caps and salaries and things like that. It just takes way too much time. And for the sake of efficiency, you sacrifice a little bit of realism. So that rule is going to be input yet again. The second and third ones there, I didn't really disagree with per se. They're both rejected. The first one is kind of iffy though. 18 yeses, 18 nos. Revert to system used in 2018. Worst team has a 25% chance of the first round pick, at a number 1 pick, I should say. And this one I felt like I still needed to keep this one rejected, because then what this ends up doing is it promotes tanking. It promotes tanking, and that's not what the XBA is all about, right? That's not what we want it to be all about. And in a way, when you say to certain teams you've got an increased chance, you got a 25% chance at the first round pick, at number 1 pick, then yeah, it promotes tanking. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to be dive bombing to try to get that number 1 overall pick. So the XBA is all about balance. It's all about competitive balance. And I just feel like even though the lotto system, I disagree with the lotto system in the NHL and the NBA. I think it's a crock. I still think you can't really change that in the game, as far as I know, right? It's always going to be lotto driven. So if we're going to do it lotto driven, you just kind of hope that all teams have a pretty even shake, a fairly even shake at getting the number 1 draft pick. So there is your league meetings and your rule changes. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking. All right, let's move on to league realignment, and then we'll get into the draft lottery reveal. All right, league realignment time, and you guys will notice that Dallas is still Dallas. This is going to change after the draft. So little FYI, if you guys are running something like this, a custom league like this, if you need to rebrand your team, make sure you do it before you enter into the offseason. If you go in the offseason, you can't change it until after the draft. So it sucks, a little oversight on my end, but I was so excited to get into the offseason that I kind of just overlooked it. All right, so just so you guys know, Dallas is supposed to be Honolulu. That is, in fact, official. That's going to change after the draft. So now that we're in the league realignment screen, Dallas is actually going to swap with El Paso. And you guys will notice that El Paso's in the Pacific Division. Well, now that Honolulu is in the mix, it only makes sense. The state, the island of Hawaii is in the Pacific Ocean. So it only makes sense, right? And it just seemed to me like you could either swap Dallas with Phoenix, or you could swap Dallas with El Paso, and El Paso made the most sense for me to move them down into the Southwest. So we're going to see that change happen up on the screen. But a little FYI though, guys, is that the divisional names, it's hard to determine where teams are supposed to go based on their geographic region. And it all depends on how many cities that you have at your disposal. So when you look at Nashville, for example, or you look at New Orleans, for example, those teams, those locations are mostly on the central or the eastern part of the United States, right? So you could make the argument that both those teams should be moved to the Eastern Conference. However, what teams do you replace them with? Do you replace them with Wisconsin? Where does Wisconsin go after that? Does Wisconsin go in the Northwest? Okay, so if you move Wisconsin over to the Northwest, where do one of the Northwest teams go? Do you push them into the Pacific? Like, this trickle-down effect, or this domino effect, starts to happen, and then you just start trying to figure out where to and how to shuffle these teams, and it starts getting kind of messy. So for right now, this is what makes the most sense. Is it geographically accurate? Not necessarily, but explain to me then how some teams like the Dallas Cowboys are playing in the NFC East. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So your divisional name does not always have to line up with your actual geographic region. So guys, that is the league realignment now with Honolulu and El Paso swapping. Up on your screen are the XBA Lottery odds. So we got number 1, the City Slickers are at 13.5, tied with the Founders at 13.5. Tempo, Olympians, and Peppers rounding out the top 5 chances for that number 1. So something I want to address to you guys. There's the number 11 spot and the number 14 spot. So the City Slickers via Dallas and the Neptunes via SoCal. Number 11 should be Dallas/Honolulu. 14 should be SoCal, not the Neptunes. The Neptunes are actually in the 9th spot, or the 9th best chance to get that top pick. The reason you guys are seeing this little, I'm not even gonna call it a glitch, because it's 2K working properly like it should, even though the logo's wrong at number 14 for Neptunes. It says it's supposed to be SoCal. The reason you guys are seeing this is because once we entered in and once we made the save file, once we made this entire league, we actually accidentally, oversight, didn't notice this little trinket of information here about 2K, but it actually imports actual NBA draft trades, or traded picks, I should say. So over the next couple seasons, we're actually going to start seeing this a little more, unless we go in and we correct it now, which of course I ended up doing because I'm a perfectionist. I want to make sure that this is all corrected. So I ended up, after the lottery has been decided, went back in, made sure the trades line up, make sure the traded picks that were traded at the deadline, at the trade deadline, and during draft day last season are all correct. So I can ensure you guys that everything is lined up properly, everything's corrected. Outside of like 2024, 2025, those trades I didn't mess with, those draft picks I didn't mess with. Until the time comes, we'll fix that up, but for now, I didn't go in and mess around with those. I just wanted to make sure that this draft and next season's draft are all corrected. So when we see in the lottery, when we see picks start to fly through, number 11 City Slickers via Dallas is supposed to be Honolulu, and 14 Neptunes via SoCal is supposed to be SoCal. Just so you guys are aware. And then when we actually see the end result of the lotto of the draft order, that will all be corrected. I do have a screenshot of everything that was corrected. So let's get right into it, guys. I won't delay you any longer. Let's get this XBA Draft Lottery finalized. And here we go. It's like Christmas, guys. Like Christmas. Open this thing up, see what we're going to get. We got the Vortex at 20. I was kind of hoping that this team would be able to jump into that number 10 slot, maybe even number 5, at least a top 10 pick. They need somebody outside of Dame Lillard to help them out. Same thing with the Baltimore Cannons with Klay Thompson and Derrick Rose. Rose is getting up there a little bit. James Wiseman is kind of their future. Basket Hounds are at 18. So some of these guys, some of these teams, I was hoping for a little bit of a Atlanta Olympians luck, right? They had a 1% chance last season, jumped all the way to the number 1 pick in the entire XBA draft for year number 1. Year 2, kind of seeming a little bit chalky right now. We got Vortex, Cannons, Basket Hounds, Jack, Sting. Could the Phoenix Monsters jump? Nope, they're going to be stuck there at number 15. All right, let's move on to number 14 here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of surprise going on. We got the New Orleans Neptunes. Are they going to jump? No. So very much chalk going on here so far. So this is actually going to be SoCal. My bad. So 14 is going to be SoCal, not the Neptunes. This is Neptunes via SoCal. That's actually going to be the SoCal Supernovas. 13, LA Leopards. Man, I was hoping for them maybe to be in the top 10. Surprise a little bit. You got the Chill there at number 12. Yeah, so they actually had a shot to jump in and really help Giannis out to try to get them back in action to try to repeat their year 1 success. We got the City Slickers via Dallas. That's actually going to be Honolulu there at 11. You got the Power here at 10. So that's actually really good for the Detroit Power to check in there at number 10. They could get a really nice player, maybe Isaiah Nikos from Creighton. You could get a CJ Kemmerly probably at number 10 if he starts to slip a little bit with the attitude issue. You got the number 9 for the Neptunes. That's the actual Neptunes pick. So a lot of teams here. Oh, we got a little surprise. The Carolina Fly Guys jump in at number 8, which means BC Chicago could be in the mix here from 6 onward. We'll see what happens. We got the Neon jumping in at 7th, so they stay pat. They stand pat. And so now we're headed into the home stretch, guys. We got 6 through 1. Peppers, could they jump? No, they don't. They're going to stay outside the top 5 Here we go. Oh, the Olympians are on the bubble here. Oh, the City Slickers. No, you gotta be kidding me. The actual City Slickers pick. They are not gonna pick number 1. So you've got the Olympians. Oh my goodness, the Olympians are now in the top 3 as BC Chicago is picking 4th. It's now between the Founders, the Tempo, and the Olympians. Who's picking 3rd? The Tempo! No! The Olympians. The Olympians could pick number 1 for back-to-back seasons. The Founders are up at 2. What's gonna happen? The Olympians are gonna pick 2nd, so we don't get a repeat lucky performance by the Olympians here in the lotto, and the Washington Founders, who escaped relocation, are going to stay in Washington, and they're also rewarded with the number 1 overall selection. And we got the Olympians here at 2 and the Tempo at 3. I'm sure that the guys, Jordan Kendrick, Michael Soto, those guys out there will be discussing their mock drafts from this point on. And now I'm actually going to shift over because this is obviously including the incorrect draft locations here. The draft spot says the Dragons, number 22 there. Dragons then at 24, Lawman at 25. So up on your screen now will be the changes, the corrections for the draft lottery. So I'm sure that those guys will be making their mock drafts. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking, though, in the comment section. I would love to hear who you think is going to go in the top 5, maybe even number 1 debate. I'd love to see that. You guys are definitely going to be another big-time part of the XBA draft this season. It's not going to be run the same way because it did take a long time. It was a 4-hour live stream, and with some hiccups there, too. But I know that you guys are still going to be involved. I just don't think it's going to be in the same capacity. I don't think it's going to be the same format. But more information to come about that. But I would love to know who you guys are thinking here in the top 5. Could Washington go with James Vine? They need a big guy. Are they going to go offense with Cartwright or Jamal Turner? Marcus Anthony would still be up on the board there, but do they really want to take him number 1 overall? Atlanta, they could use a point guard. They got John Wall. They got Jimmy Butler at shooting guard, so they're pretty good on offense right now. Could they take Cartwright? If Washington elects to not go Cartwright, could Atlanta scoop him up? Would they luck out in that fashion? It's going to be a crazy, crazy draft. I know that Nashville definitely needs a young point guard. Marcus Anthony would be perfect there. Does he go to Atlanta? Are they going to try to groom him into becoming a shooter more so than a distributing type of point guard / shooting guard? Are they going to try to mold him into that role, which he might benefit from? He might be able to benefit from a little bit of time off of being the guy, right? Atlanta might be a good situation for Marcus Anthony, given all that he has been through out at Virginia Tech with the disappointments. The thing with Cartwright, though, is he's a small forward, power forward, the same position as Jedray Sobchak. So where do you put him? Are you going to put Jedray at power? Are you going to put Cartwright at small? Do you then have a situation where you've got 2 egos battling against each other in a team that's already got a lot of ego going on, right? Jimmy Butler and John Wall. So it's a weird mix out there in Atlanta, but maybe the safe spot for Marcus Anthony would be the Nashville Tempo. I'm anxious to see what you guys are thinking here about the draft lottery and the draft as a whole. And that's going to be it for the lotto. Let's move on to the big time news that I have for you guys regarding the series and XCAA as a whole. So to cap off tonight's off-season preview video for the XBA in year 3, guys, I got some things to announce. But first things first, we are accepting custom coaches. What? Yes, custom coaches that are going to be used in NCAA basketball 2010. So who's going to run this? Well, it's going to be Brian Street. He's the guy that makes our draft classes for year 1, year 2. He's already in the process of making year number 3, and he's going to be running this on his channel. So custom coaches, what is this all about? Well, the XBA universe is expanding, and it's getting bigger, and it's getting better, and it's all thanks to you guys, the community members. So if you wanted to ever be a part of it and you just haven't been able to get your prospect in, well, guess what, guys? You are going to be able to be a part of being a coach. You're going to be able to be a part of the series by being a coach in Brian's simulation in NCAA basketball 2010. So how's this going to work? Well, there's a Google form that you guys are going to fill out here. It's linked in the Premier Chat, description, pinned comment, everywhere that you can find it. Click on that link. Give us the details about your custom coach. What's his play style? What are the top 5 schools he wants to go to? This will be completely randomized, so make sure that you guys are giving yourselves like a little bit of leeway there. 1 through 5. Don't list all blue bloods because there's probably odds are you're not gonna make the cut. You're not gonna get in as that head coach. Okay, so make sure you guys give yourself a little bit of leeway there with sprinkling a couple blue bloods, sprinkling some Ivy League, sprinkling some mid majors. Give yourself a chance to be a part and be a coach for a team in his little series. So go to his channel, give him a subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and once those custom prospects are all flooded in here for year 3 and the rosters are completed and your custom coaches are assigned, what's going to happen is every week he's going to give you guys a little update on how players are doing, awards races, player of the year, what's your win-loss record, what's the preview like, maybe do a little live simulation too, some commentary, see how your guys are doing. It's going to be fun. It'll be really, really big time for you guys to keep track of how your teams and how your coaches and how your players are going to do, right? So year 4 will run just the same way. However, you guys as custom prospects in year 3 now have the option of if you're going to stay or if you're going to go. We are now giving you guys full autonomy and full player sovereignty to decide what you guys are going to do with your customs career. Do you want to stay in college? Do you want to go pro? That way, now that everything is into a NCAA series or an NCAA basketball video game, we can operate it this way versus just trying to make rosters for NBA 2K20. Then you've got non-customs who get deleted because now you're making a new XBA tournament and things like this and things like that. So I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really fun. So you might be asking yourself, if you become a custom coach, can you go pro? And the answer is yes, you can. But as commissioner, I have the final say on who gets hired and who gets fired as far as an XBA coach. So we will have XBA coach openings. So how does one of your custom coaches become an XBA coach? Well, that's going to depend on how you guys do recruiting. That's going to depend on how you guys do performance-wise, how you guys are going to do in the tournament. What players can you bring over? So year 4 is going to be big for you guys. Your teams are going to already be set by year 3. Year 4 is going to be huge. Are you going to be in cahoots? Are you going to be talking to customs that might say they want to leave for the draft? How are you going to convince them to stay? So there's this dynamic now within the XBA, within the XCAA. You guys all have motivations. You guys now have all your motivations lined up. Do you have to talk to a player that might want to leave to make sure that he stays? Because you're trying to make the XBA as a head coach. Your custom prospect wants to get to the pros. You see what I'm saying? So the dynamic is huge. XBA is getting bigger and better thanks to you guys and thanks to your commitment. More details on the Be a Coach in the future. However, I wanted to make sure that you guys are able to fill that chart out, fill that sheet out, and let us know what your coach is going to look like. Like I said, it's going to be completely random, and it'll be fun. So make sure you guys go to his channel, check him out, subscribe, notification bell. You know the deal. Make sure you don't miss an update from his channel. And speaking of custom coaches, we have a breaking news update here as far as the XBA is concerned. Jarrett Payton, the Virginia Tech head coach, is now moving on to the XBA to coach the New York City Slickers. He's from New York. He was born and raised in Brooklyn. He calls himself a Brooklynite, and he's a New Yorker through and through. It's an opportunity for me to bring everything full circle and to return to my roots. Hashtag hard hat mentality from Virginia Tech. That's what he wants to bring here. And in a heartfelt message to Hokie Nation, Jarrett Payton leaves behind a pretty awesome legacy there, bringing Virginia Tech some really, really good collegiate level basketball. So high-level collegiate level basketball. So congratulations to Jarrett Payton. He is now going to be the head coach of the City Slickers, so it's really going to be interesting on what they decide to do with the number 5 overall draft selection. Obviously, a lot of news and a lot of updates as far as the XBA goes and the community goes. But as I've mentioned before, as the content expands and as the community involvement expands, you guys are going to need a way to communicate with each other. You guys are going to need a way to communicate with me. You guys are going to need a way to communicate with Brian Street. You guys are going to need a way to communicate with the moderators, which is why we're officially launching the Gold Squad Discord. I'm pleased to announce it. Guys, it has been a work in progress for about a year and a half now. So back in 2019, we started the Discord back up again. We used to have one back in like 2018, and it just didn't run very well. So I decided to call it quits with that. It was very stressful trying to manage some toxic members of that community, and decided eventually just to end it, just to don't do Discord. It gets toxic. It gets very depressing, so to speak. So, but now's the time, I feel like, that we can launch this, because we've been working on this as far as like a moderation standpoint goes, trying to get things in check, trying to make sure things are in order to a point where we can actually manage toxic group members. So I appreciate all of you guys. I think everybody I've talked to in the comment section within the past couple months it's been pretty cool, man. That you guys have been good. And I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate your friendship in that manner. So I think it's time that we officially launch the Gold Squad Discord. So for those of you guys that want to be a part of the group, please take a look at that Discord link. We've got things from MLB The Show server, from, I should say channel, but MLB The Show channel. We've got NCAA Team Builder channel. We got XBA channels. There's going to be things that you guys are not going to be able to see yet, because you guys are all going to be entered in as a rookie level. The more that you're in, the more that you comment, the more that you talk, the more that you discuss. You have a ranking system that actually ranks you up, so you can actually get more permissions and more roles. So I hope you guys find that cool. I hope you guys are able to get in and have some fun and dig around and see what we're talking about, and just join the conversation that we're having in our Discord. So that's open. I appreciate you guys checking us out tonight. Leave a like if you like this thing, and let us know everything that went on in this video. It was jam-packed. We had lottery talk, we had rule changes, we had some previews from the offseason, and then we obviously have this big bombshell with Discord and custom coaches and prospects being able to stay at their school. So guys, more to come for the XBA later on during the week. I will see you guys in the next one. Leave a like if you like this thing. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.